All right. Well, I think next is our math department, if I have that right. Dr. Boley?
That's
You're
correct.
going to try to top that?
We will try. Good evening. In an effort to help our children understand mathematics in a way that ties into the real world, we must incorporate perseverance and critical strategic reasoning. If one way doesn't work, perhaps a different method will, and different problems require different approaches. A student who is prepared for the world will be able to identify the problem and strategically think through the different tools for problem solving and then choose the best one. If that method fails, that student should have backup tools for problem solving. Here to provide an overview for us this evening are the wonderful leaders of our mathematics department, Supervisor Mr. Anthony Gugliotta Jr. and Department Chairperson Dr. Manjeet Saran, whose birthday it is today.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about our favorite topic, the math department. My name is Anthony Gugliotta. I came to the district in 2006 as the mathematics department chair, and in 2013 I became the math supervisor.
Hi, I'm Manjeet Saran, and I'm the math department chairperson since 2014. These are two favorite quotes that guide our practice in math department. We would like to start with these two quotes to share our philosophy with you. It is my belief that whoever does the work will do the learning. In order to learn mathematics, the students have to do the problems themselves rather than watch the teacher do them problems for them.
And the second quote, which comes from Einstein, gives us the idea of productive struggle. We very much believe that we want our students to show persistence, and they learn as much from their successes as they do from their mistakes, and that really helps them grow as mathematicians.
Mathematics department goal at the secondary level is to stress problem solving. Throughout their school years, the students are learning skills and concepts that provide a wide support base for them to build new knowledge. A great example is calculus. Students use their geometry, algebra, pre-calculus knowledge in order to be successful problem solvers in this course.
And overall, our goal, we want our students to be good consumers of mathematics.
The standards for mathematical content, actually, let me back up. There are two overarching themes for standards in mathematics. There are content standards, and then there are mathematical practice standards. The standards for mathematical content are grade and course specific and help form and drive our curriculum. The standards for mathematical practice are overarching goals that go across every grade level from grade to 12th grade and can be thought of as math life skills that will be used long after a student leaves school.
And for our teachers and students here, our goal is always to find a point of intersection, which is a wonderful math word, between both sets of standards to help inform and improve our classroom instruction. When we start, every discussion we have in mathematics begins and ends with our standards. The grades K to 8 have their own dedicated set of standards that, as Manjeet said, are grade level specific.
There are 6 domains of standards as soon as we enter into algebra. So algebra, geometry, algebra 2, pre-calc, there are 6. These are the 6 domains: number and quantity standards, algebra standards, which are followed in algebra 1 and algebra 2, function standards, modeling, geometry and statistics, and probability standards that go across courses.
The standards of mathematical practice, this is the second set. These are very exciting because these are consistent and identical regardless of the grade level. So example, when you see number 5, using appropriate tools strategically, that might mean counters in kindergarten, fraction circles in grade 4, a spreadsheet in grade 7, or a graphing calculator at the high school. So this is our very exciting K-12 math program equation that we have. First, we start with our foundational math knowledge, and for many of us in this room, this is how we learned mathematics. This is the old math. This is the standards for mathematical content. To that, we add the big problem-solving bubble that we're really encouraging in all of our classes, and these are more the standards for mathematical practice.
And to that, we add mathematics department adds the additional sports outside of the classroom, as well as building specialists in grades K through 7 and an instructional coach at the high school from grades 10 through 12.
And that gives us a very happy young man learning mathematics. So one of our biggest goals across the district, again, regardless of the grade level, has been to encourage math talk in our classrooms. And here's some examples, as you can see from the screen. This involved giving students scenarios and situations that encourage dialogue rather than simply checking each other's answers. We want our students to collaborate and debate with one another, and these conversations start as early as kindergarten.
As many of you remember, I'm giving away my age now. This is how we learned mathematics. This is fluency, which has its place. You need to be fluent in the facts in order to be able to apply those things when you're solving problems. You don't want to hang up on the fluency pieces. There are more, but now we know that there are more engaging ways of covering these skills while encouraging math talk among our students.
So something I learned when I became math supervisor from, we have some specialists and coaches in the audience, is this great idea of a notice and wonder. And the students in the audience probably know this also. This is a kind of a different way to do mathematics. And what I would like you to do, if you would indulge us, take a quick moment and look over the above list that's there. And it will give you a couple of minutes just to look at it. Just look at the numbers. Now, if you take a moment to turn and talk with your neighbor and share something mathematical that you notice about the numbers in those lists.
You know, and she's been laughing. No, I was in the picture. That was me in my sack. That was me. But so share. So from the first number, there's an increase. There's basically a doubling of that first number only. So you add by that.
That's
one number. So 4.
That's
plus
wonderful.
4,
Very good.
8 plus 4. But added by
Excellent.
that same first number.
We had some wonderful notices and wonders up front from the students, of course. But if you notice the difference, when we go back to this slide, if we give students this slide and say discuss your answers with each other, there's really not a lot to discuss here. What we're trying to encourage are brand new points that the students will come up with. So as I go forward, here's some student wonders that we've heard before as we've gone around. Why do all the lists stop at 20? Why are there more terms near the top? Is there a relationship between the first value and the number of terms? And these are just some of the few ideas that kids bring up to teachers. And there's nothing I can tell you as a former teacher, and the teachers in this room could certainly say this also, there's nothing more exciting than when kids come up with a notice and wonder that you've never thought of. Because that shows a whole different level of learning. That's very exciting for us. Okay, so now we have our philosophy and our standards in hand. We would like to take a look at the K-12 math program. So we're going to start with, we kind of are blocking these together. We're going to start with the K-6 math program. And from grades K through 6, we use everyday math. And it's a student-centered approach that we have with wonderful exploration and differentiation opportunities. We teach our elementary program in 8 different buildings, so we pay special attention to keeping our approach consistent across the buildings. We have math specialists in all 8 elementary buildings and also at Hammersholt, and they provide supplementary math instruction to learners in need, and also help me and help the department coordinate the program across the district, which is really a wonderful resource. In addition, the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, the former name of PARCC, that's the NJSLA, which is going to be renamed in the spring. Testing begins in grades 3 and goes grades 3, 4, 5, and 6 with a grade level specific New Jersey student learning assessments.
Starting with pre-algebra at Hammersholt in grade 7, Algebra 1 is being taught at Hammersholt and Churchill. We have geometry and Algebra 2 being taught at Churchill and high school. So this makes it very important for us to have common assessments. So the kids, there's equity in their education since the courses are being taught at more than one building. So we take great care of making common assessments. Teachers have common rubrics for evaluating assessments, student assessments. So the kids are given similar experiences in these courses. We also are very lucky to have a talented staff in our buildings, and that allows us to offer 3 advanced level courses: AP Calculus AB, AP Calculus BC, and AP Statistics. We also offer a hybrid course that's SAT Math Prep. And our hope in doing that is to prepare our students when they're getting ready to go to college, because a lot of the colleges, they will be exposed to the online learning environments. So our hope is that a lot of students have a chance to take this course. They're well prepared when they go to college, and it's not the first time they're being immersed in online environment. We also offer 4 dual enrollment courses that the students get MCC credit for: Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, and Stat Honors.
We would now like to dig a little bit deeper into our grade level progression. So everything starts when the students come into, and we're going to kind of walk you through the different grade levels for math, back to the standards and to mathematical content here. A student starts in grade K, and they are writing and recognizing their numbers and shapes. And by the time they leave grade 2, they're building addition and subtraction fluency within 100 and classifying geometric shapes. So here's a first grade example where students are asked to illustrate the picture. There's 9 birds that are starting on a tree, and then some fly away, and there's 5 birds stayed. And the students have to actually represent this pictorially. And this is, again, the new math. We're not just asking the students what the answer is. We want them to be able to pictorially represent it and share with a partner. Another wonderful example that I would like to share from second grade, this is a peer analysis question where the students are given a strategy from a student and then asked to show and explain how this student's strategy works to solve 14 minus 8. And again, the bottom line is just not what the answer is of 14 minus 8. It's being able to articulate how to actually do the process. And this is neat. A teacher shared this with me. The student actually used walking blocks in New York to illustrate his explanation, which I think is very neat. When we switch to grades 3 to 5, students learn strategies to multiply and divide within 100 and begin to work with fractions, shapes, and area in grade 3. And by the time they leave grade 5, they're familiar with operations with fractions and have begun to work with decimals and volume. This is another excellent example I would like to share with you guys about grade 4. This is an example on comparing fractions, and this is a 2-day re-engagement lesson, it's called. So the first day, the students work in groups, and they're given this problem where different groups get pizzas, and they have to determine who gets the most pizza and to pictorially represent it. On the second day, they then peer evaluate each other's work, and they give each other suggestions for how to improve their work. It's almost like the first day is a draft copy, and then the second allows them to revise what they've done. And we have a short video we'd like to show you of the day 2 engagement where the teacher's working with some students.
Oh, so like how they got those fractions, they could show that. Okay. Or maybe even explain that.
I was thinking I didn't probably put the empty spaces in the same area to show it.
Oh, okay.
To make it simple.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion too. Okay. Is their explanation nice and clear? Looks pretty organized, right?
Yeah, I would just like it if they added a little punctuation. I can't really see it.
Right. Okay.
So this is really, if you notice on the side, there were sticky notes, and that's where the students leave other students suggestions on how they thought, how the evaluation was, give them suggestions for how to make it more clear to each other. And that's a big part of mathematics that we're doing now, the whole piece of peer analysis. I think you have to go to that. Thank you. In grades 6 to 7, the students enter Hammarskjöld. And when they enter Hammarskjöld, the big focus begins with ratios, negative numbers, equations, and statistics. And this is the first time that we have a second level of math called Math Prime for students who qualify in our placement process using multiple measures. In grade 7, students are again placed using multiple measures into either pre-algebra or algebra 1. And it's a little bit hard to see up there, but I indicated the numbers that we have in each area. There's 92 kids in Math Prime in 6th grade and 553 in Math 6. And in 7th grade, we have 71 kids in Algebra 1 and 549 in pre-algebra. And this is a grade 6. Now notice, again, we're trying to kind of show you a progression. In grade 6, the students are now comparing different data representations when they're looking at a histogram and a bar graph and making some analysis about the two of them. And again, we're stepping through the process here.
once the students move into Churchill, they start taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade. Majority of our students take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, except the ones who take it in Hammersholt in grade 7. 9th grade is Geometry with Trig, 10th is Algebra 2, 11th Pre-Calculus, and that gives students in 12th grade a wide variety of upper-level math courses that they have a choice to take, and they also have a choice to double up in their senior year, depending on which track they're going, if they want to go into math or science fields. EBHS requires 3 years of math for graduation, but almost all the students end up taking 4 full years of math at high school.
And again, we indicate on that slide the number of students that we have taking 12th grade math, which is very impressive, that so many students, especially at the 12th grade level, are taking math.
Yeah. And just to illustrate the extensive selection of course offerings that we have in the math department, as you can see from that flow chart, students have different paths that they can take depending on their interest in their post-secondary high school years, what they want to major in. So it gives students lots of options. Here are some from the birds sitting on a wire example, right, in grade 1. Here's some examples. The middle one is from pre-algebra, where students are learning how to do one-step equations, to BC example on the right and Calc AB example on the left. They're dealing with lot more complex functions and how they are represented, how to do the algebra 2 plays a big role, and to be able to do BC, they really need a good foundation algebra to be able to work with the functions.
We would now like to look at our district park results. And again, moving forward, this will be called the New Jersey Student Learning Assessments. Now, starting in grade 3 and running through Algebra 2, East Brunswick is well ahead of the state averages on the park assessments. We have made a commitment to ensuring that our district assessments are consistent with the rigor and expectations of park, which measure grade or course level standards. As you can see, the yellow bars there represent our district, and the dark blue is the state averages.
And student achievement results on the next slide for the AP courses. We are very proud of our results on the advanced placement exams in math. The math department has traditionally had some of the best results at EBHS, as seen by the percentages of 4s and 5s in each of these courses offered at the high school.
In the top left, we have Calculus AB, then Calculus BC, and then Statistics is the one on the bottom. The columns on the right-hand side are 4s and 5s, so you can see we're predominantly in that area, which we're very, very proud of.
Here are some of the math accomplishments. Just a couple of weeks ago, we inducted 60+ students into Mu Alpha Theta, which is a math honor society. And the middle group is our kids that competed in the math league competition we hosted at the high school, and they placed first in that competition. This is near and dear to my heart. As we've heard from Dr. Boley and Mr. Gugliata, the department's vision is to have students work on problems, become problem solvers, and persevere in solving those problems. To be able to do that, the environment has to be conducive for them to be able to work together. So furniture, how the classrooms arranged, plays a huge role. Currently, we are doing a pilot with technology, and students need space on their desks to be able to put that technology and really be able to share and look at and do that work.
So our goals that we are continually working on together when Manjeet and I meet. First, the ongoing analysis of the K-6 math program. Last year, we were tasked with looking at the elementary program, and that really opened up a lot of interesting avenues for us. And this year, we're really looking at grade 6 because we really want to focus on the transition of elementary students to Hammersholt. We feel that's one of our areas we want to focus on to make sure that the students are learning their math the best way at that grade.
And to that end, our district focus is to meet the needs of all learners. Towards that goal, this year we've been doing a lot of work to work with the Algebra 2 courses to help students meet these goals that we've set for them. As I discussed earlier, Algebra 2 plays a foundational role in how successful they will be in higher level math classes. So we are reworking the scope and sequence, and this summer we are going to be doing creating more assessments that are more problem-solving type of problems, that they are not just skill or fluency based, where students have to explain their work. So I'm really proud of this work that we are doing in the department this year to meet the needs of all our students.
The next goal is the clearer communication of student placement. Now, for us in the math department, we start the honors placement in grade 6. And we really want to make sure that the community is very aware of the different expectations and the requirements to go into the different levels. Dr. Boley has the entire curriculum department looking at student placement starting in grade 6, going all the way through the high school, and that's something that will be rolling out in the future.
And another one of our goals is to improve the standardized test, their proficiency scores for our students. To that end, we have, at Churchill, we have push-in teachers for Algebra 1 classes. These are certified math teachers, so there are 2 teachers in the classroom helping these students work on problems, so we are able to differentiate, and the teachers are able to work with students in smaller groups.
And as you saw before, one of our big goals, of course, is to encourage genuine math talk in the classroom. And even during this presentation, we had that simple example. We had a lot of conversation going on in the classroom. And that's our hope when you go through any math classroom. There's a lot of this great talk that's happening.
Last but not least is exploring new ways to infuse technology, not just as a substitution for paper and pencil, but to take their cognitive abilities, problem-solving abilities to a higher level, modify the tasks, rebuild the tasks, to be able to do things that they couldn't do with paper and pencil. Teachers do formative assessment on technology. High school, currently we are doing a pilot with the HP X360 devices, which students can ink on, which is the need for a math department, because Chromebooks aren't conducive for students to be able to show their work. So I'm very excited about that. So we are continually working with teachers. Teachers make videos and put those up for students as resources on their web pages. So this is an ongoing work, and we need the district's commitment on that also to help us through with that goal.
And as we like to say, technology supplements, it doesn't supplant good instruction. So it makes our math teachers that much better and our classes that much more directed to help all the student learners in our district when we have these technology opportunities for them. On our last slide here are different pictures from around the district that we have, ranging from high school math teachers at graduation, parent night that we had, freckle teachers, kindergartners, whiteboarding math problems. There's a lot of great stuff going on in the math department. We're very proud of the work that we've done, and I hope that this presentation has given you some more information about our math department.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Ms. Chu.
I saw the 2 young men in the front get very, very excited when they were showing a 4th grade problem. So I just wanted to ask, is that because you recognize the work from your classroom? Yeah, you did that in class recently? They got really excited. For the guys in the back, they were like, oh, wow, we know this stuff. Question on the number of students in Math Prime versus the regular math, right? Is that a set number, or do you assess the number of spaces based on the group of students that we have that year?
There's 5 different indicators that we use when we place students. And based on their scores in those 5 areas, that's how we build the classes. So if the scores play out, we could have 4 sections, 5 sections. This year when we did the numbers, that's the number that we have.
Yeah, I'm
But it's
glad
not
to
a
hear
set
it's
number.
driven by
Absolutely.
the student capabilities and not limited by it's a number of seats.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Anyone else? Good, strong.
No, go ahead. For the math talk, how can you make sure every student got involved? Apparently, some students are very active in the classroom, but certain students are very shy. How can you make sure every student involved in the math talk?
That's a wonderful question, and the teachers could probably answer this question better than I could, but this is what I observe all the time, that the teachers know their students very, very well. And if a student is more reluctant, because usually they're on the carpet, they would be gathered around the whiteboard, just the kids would be on the carpet and they'll be talking to one another. If a student is reluctant, usually the teacher will step in and talk to the student, or they'll find them a friend in the class and try to facilitate that conversation as much as possible. But the goal is for everybody to talk to one another, to share an idea. And we find that rather than, if I were to ask one person a question now and everyone hears the response, people are very reluctant to answer a question that way. But when you're in a very small setting, you're talking to one or two friends, it's much easier. And that generates a lot of nice discussion that we see in the classroom.
Thank you.
And the other thing, teachers have tried also tools like Padlet, which is anonymous posting of answers. So students don't have that fear that their name is being associated with their answer. And that also provides opportunities for teachers to share different work from students, and students to analyze other students' work without like saying Johnny's work was wrong or whatever, just giving their opinions how that answer could be made better. If you did this, that answer could become better. And they learn themselves as also doing things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. I love the fact that we're incorporating critical thinking and problem solving in math, because those skills are necessary for everything our students are going to do. This is my concern, and I've had this for a long time, so my generation also, I'm older than you, it might have been tedious and boring to learn math the way we were taught, but I can multiply, add, subtract, divide, fractions, etc. in my head, on paper, long division. I sometimes wonder if, as an educational community, in our effort to make sure kids are not bored ever, and to provide them with a methodology that one might call a gimmick, that we are shortchanging them in not driving home the basics and the foundations. I've had 2 kids go through the school district, so I saw the math program in action, had 2 very different experiences with it, but it's not the teachers, it's not you guys. I sometimes wonder about the program. Are we spending enough time besides the math talk and to make sure they have the basics? So I was very pleased to see that you said there's an ongoing analysis of the K-6 math program.
Yes.
And I wanted you to just speak about that for a minute.
Okay, I certainly will. And to your first point, embedded within the content for mathematical, or standards for mathematical content, are grade level expectations for fluency. And that is a very big piece of our program also. We try to walk in both worlds between problem solving and fluency. They're both very, very important. The world has changed on us also. I remember myself when I was a kid that I learned a lot about arithmetic by counting money in my bank or playing Monopoly and being the banker. The world has changed a lot from there. People don't use change as much. But the opportunities are embedded within math games, within everyday math, or really any elementary math program looks at the important piece of balancing fluency and problem-solving skills. The standardized tests, and again, we're not driven completely by standardized tests, are expecting our kids to be able to be good consumers of math, which means they understand arithmetic and they understand mathematics. And there's really a difference between the two.
Yes, you're
We
right.
were raised as arithmeticians, and it's easy for an arithmetician to probably learn mathematics if you have a very strong foundation. What we're trying to do is balance both worlds. We want our kids to be arithmeticians and mathematicians, and that's part of the analysis piece. That's why it's very important for us to continue to look at the K-6 program, and that's why we really feel that Hammershoulder is a great place to start. We have a transition from 8 schools going into 1 school. Everyday math program in 6th grade transitions to pre-algebra, which is the start of our traditional sequence of pre-algebra, algebra 1. That has become our focal point for looking at the program. We always want to improve our program. We appreciate you having us look at our program again. I think that's very, very important for all of us to do. our goal is to have our kids do mathematics, not just to do practice problems, but really, you need the arithmetic to do the mathematics.
And you put that beautifully. And we need the arithmetic to do the mathematics. So you need both. I just would love to hear from the two of you. You seem, you're so excited about the program. You bring a passion to the program. You're so intelligent about math and about your approach to it. I would love to see you maybe find other programs that you're really excited about and passionate about, that perhaps combines the arithmetic and the mathematic in a way that maybe in the beginning is a little more arithmetic.
Understood.
Scariest moment of my life, I was in a supermarket checking out. The cash register fritzed out. The cashier had to make change. We had to wait for a store manager. They couldn't do it. They were obviously not an East Brunswick student, first of all. We welcome, not I, where are we? Your ideas, and keep driving that passion to bring us new things. Challenge yourselves, challenge us. We're behind you.
Thank you.
What else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next.